Welcome back to Critical Condition Sports. Today is a special episode because we are breaking down a massive card, UFC 268, coming to you live from New York City, Madison Square Garden. I'm freaking pumped for this, and I have my good friend Chelsea Torres, who loves MMA just as much as I do. I couldn't think of a better person to come and join me and break this card down. How you doing, Chelsea?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. More excited to even talk about the fights. I'm pumped.
So pumped. All kinds of hype.
All kinds of
hype. Might have to copyright that. And I have a beer here while we're doing this because you know what? I'm pumped. I'm excited. I've been very anxious for this, fight card. I already want it to be Saturday. Plus, folks, we have day jobs as well, folks. So of course,
we're looking forward to Saturday.
Exactly. We are so pumped. Very excited here. It's a massive card here. And look, we're going to go over the main card. We'll go over a couple fights from the prelims, but is there a fight for you that you're just looking forward to the most? We're not going to break it down. We'll get there when we get there, but is there a fight that you are looking for the absolute most?
Overall?
Yes.
I would probably say the Gaethje-Michael Chandler fight. And
it's good.
I only say that because, I'm excited to see Uzman and Covington fight again. Same with Rose and Shang Weili. But the Gaethje-Chandler fight just intrigues me so much because after watching their previous fights and then knowing just how they are, I feel like there's such a great matchup. It could literally go either way. To me, and what I think for this fight, it could go either way.
A lot of these fights are very hard to call.
Super hard.
Betting, because I'm kind of going over, some of my buddies are asking me, hey, what's a good parlay to place?
Mm-hmm.
It is really, really hard, folks. Like the odds, I know there's some odds better than the others. Like I can't believe the odds were leaning towards a heavy, like Kamar Uzman favorite there.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't understand that. You can make some money if you bet on Colby and he wins. You can bet some real good money there. But again, it's a gamble, right? Now, I'm very excited because all these fights, literally, we'll get to the prelims right now, but all these fights are like dead even, I feel. Again, really hard to call. But we'll start off with the preliminary card. We have a guy that I've touted to everyone, to you specifically. I've talked to you about this guy for so long. Ian Gary, who is an up-and-coming prospect. He is notoriously known for being compared to Conor McGregor. He, has been a world champion already for the same organization that Conor fought at. There's obviously the picture of Ian growing and being a 15-year-old kid, taking a picture with Conor McGregor. And it's well documented the inspiration that Conor made for Ian. And what's cool is that he's going to be making his debut in the very same venue in which Conor became a double champ, right? So it's one of those fights that was a huge impact for Ian, and he's 7-0 against Jordan Williams. I'm telling everyone this. That's going to be your next UFC, not your next, but a future UFC world champion, and very first fighter I say that about, because it's easy to do that when someone's in the UFC. I'm telling you right now, Ian Gary's a person to watch. Have you gotten a chance to check out a fight or two of his?
Yes, I have. I've watched quite a bit of his stuff just in the past couple days, actually. And I think what's so cool about this fight in general is that there's so much that can happen with this fight. There's so much hype around not only just Ian Gary, but the entire card altogether. Yeah. Because with this being in New York City at MSG, like one of the biggest stages ever, right? And then not only that, Bruce Buffer is back. He wasn't there last week. Joe Rogan's back. It's been a while for him. So I just feel like there's so much hype with all this. And then Ian Gary gets to literally start off the night with prelims against Jordan Williams. Now, I think Jordan Williams is actually a pretty good fighter. He has pretty good takedown defense. Yeah. But as you know, and I guess a lot of MMA fans who have paid attention to Ian Gary, or at least are kind of been following with what the media is talking about recently, he just has so much explosive power. And for me, he's one of those pure MMA fighters that's on the come up. Like for years, at least for me, when I first started watching MMA and UFC, you saw a lot of fighters who maybe most of their background was boxing or jiu-jitsu or judo or whatever the case. Yeah. And I feel like Ian Gary, although he did start off boxing, right? I think when he was younger, now you see it in his fights. He's just pure MMA style. And what I also like about him is that he's with the Stanford MMA training facility. Like he just has really good coaching. I know for him, just because of the things that I've seen him say, it doesn't really mean too much, who his coaches are, but being able to train with that high caliber of coaching, as well as people like Gilbert Burns rolling with them and Michael Chandler rolling with them, like that does a lot for you when you get into the ring and, you know, you're going against all of these elite fighters. So I definitely see Ian Gary winning this fight.
The future, that's his nickname.
And yeah, I don't know. I see star power from him for sure. I know he has a lot of energy and he's really hyped and he's excited. I know he's just happy to be here, but I think it's really cool that he gets to at least start off the night.
Yeah. We had him on the show today, you know, well, from the day this thing's going to go live, we had him on the show. So check out that interview. So something interesting though about him before we move on though, is he was getting ready when he was 6-0, he was getting ready for a world title fight for the last organization that he was with. And he broke up from his gym and he had no one to corner him. So he grabbed, I believe, a couple people backstage or his friends or whatnot, because he needed to have somebody corner him. If not, he couldn't compete. And he was able to overcome that kind of adversity. It's kind of a mental exhaustion when you don't have the coaches, the team that has brought you up, and go out there and he won. You know, he won, became a world champ. So I think he's got all the tools to be, you know, what his nickname is, the future. I am very excited. Again, I've talked to everyone about this. I'm telling everybody, watch the prelims.
You know, there's a lot of good fights on the prelim card. Like, I mean, we could sit here and talk for a long time, but I'm just saying, like, there's like Ali Aquinta is on there. Yeah. We haven't seen him since 2018, I think it is.
It's been a hot minute.
It has. It's been a while. Nasruddin Imavov. Did I say that right? I don't know.
You, pronunciation's not our thing here. Give you some awesome MMA takes here, but pronunciation is not one.
That's not our forte. But yeah, if you're gonna watch the fights, you should start with the prelims.
Dude, prelims, you have to. I know there's a lot of people that just watch the main card. How dare you, right? But still, they're not MMA nuts like us. But I'm telling you, if you're listening to this, you love MMA. Watch the prelims card. Edmond Shabazzia, big fight for him. Yep. Oh, because, you know, obviously he was skyrocketing. And for people that may not know this, Edmond trains with Ronda Rousey's trainer. Ronda's not training for MMA, but again, they're coming from the same background and they've thrown this man to the wolves, unfortunately, and they've really hurt him. Kind of like the whole Darren Till where they had to catapult you too fast. I think he suffered from that. I think this is a very big fight for him. He needs to win this fight.
No, I agree with that.
He needs to win this fight.
Didn't he headline a fight night last year?
He did, and he lost.
Yeah.
So he lost, against Brunson, which was, you know, where the hype train ended for him essentially there. And he just, I mean, Brunson's a freaking animal. And then forgot who the second person was that he lost to here.
Can I yell at my dog?
Go for it.
Hannah. Shh. Sorry.
Well, anyways, I know he's lost 2 in a row. I know there haven't been good matchups for him right now. So it's a huge fight for Edmond out there. Very intriguing. This man, as far as the preliminary card, there's a lot of pressure standing with him. So it's gonna be very interesting. But let's get to the main card.
Yes, let's.
Again, all this information is just for people that want some more information when it comes to this whole UFC card. But the main card, folks, is what's drawing people here. And we now know Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler are going to be opening the main card. People are asking me why. I just think it's because Trevor Whitman, that trains Justin Gaethje, has Rose and Uzman fighting. So
it's like the night of the coaches for UFC 268.
Yes.
You have Ian Gary's coach or his, you know, coaches, because they also have Michael Chandler, and then you have Trevor Whitman. Like, hello.
And Trevor's got 3 of them in the main card. He was supposed to go back to back to back. So that's why they moved that. I think it's badass. I mean, I think
so badass.
Because I think, and I think this fight has no chance of going to the judges. I think when you talk about Chandler and
Gaethje, oh
so
man,
who do you think's gonna win?
I don't know. I don't even want to think about, because here's where I'm at.
Okay.
They're both wrestlers. Yes. Okay. These are just, I'm going to go through the notes and then I'll talk. They're both wrestlers, so we know that. Gaethje, I feel like, even though he's a wrestler, a lot of people who probably have watched some of his most recent fights wouldn't even necessarily, I mean, if you watch the Habib fight, you wouldn't necessarily think he's a wrestler because he doesn't really go for takedowns, right? He's not going to have a whole lot of ground game, unlike Michael Chandler. Obviously, he lost to Habib, but still, like,
everyone loses to Colby.
Exactly. Chandler, his last fight was Oliveira, but I'll tell you this. I just watched this fight today and I was really thinking he almost caught Oliveira in the first round. I think it was the second round is when he got caught and he got TKO'd. But he's also never been submitted. So you almost wonder, okay, if Chandler's never been submitted, also wrestler, all-state wrestler, right? Or all whatever, all-American wrestler. Same with Gaethje. It's just like, I almost see it maybe going a little bit ground and pound, but I feel like they're going to be standing most of the time. I don't know. It really is just so hard to tell. I would like for it to not go all the way. I would love to see.
No way this goes all the way.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I can't imagine, because the thing about Gaethje is he's like a savage, right?
Yeah.
He's going to continuously pressure you and just go full force at you. I'm going to say maybe TKO second round.
Call it right here. Call your shot right here.
I almost have Gaethje winning. I like Chandler, nothing against him. And I think he had a great fight against Oliveira, but I see Gaethje winning this fight.
Chelsea Torres, I'm going to tell you this right now. There's a lot of sports analysts that suck at making game picks that are employed right now. That's true. If you get one wrong, it's fine.
It's nothing
That's
wrong.
One thing. There's people that have jobs on betting and teaching people how to bet and do parlays when you can only win a parlay by hitting every single thing. So I don't get what 92% does for anyone. So you're fine.
This fight was so hard for me to pick because to me, it literally can go either way.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you. I think Chandler wins. So Chandler's the underdog. Chandler's the underdog. Again, we want to make some money. Put some money on Chandler. The biggest thing is jiu-jitsu grappling is something that Gaethje does not like to do, right? The highlight, right? You're going to get a highlight knockout, right? That's what we think of a highlight. Hey, go watch this highlight in the UFC. You're thinking automatically to yourself, oh, someone's going to get knocked the F out, you know? So that's what I think of when I think of just Gaethje. The thing about Chandler is I think Chandler's going to go in there and move forward and shoot on him. I think so, and I think he may overwhelm Gaethje, as we saw with the Khabib fight. Yes, everyone loses to Khabib. That's fine. But he doesn't want to use the jiu-jitsu. I think, Michael Chandler's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Oh. So I think Chandler's going to take this fight down. Obviously, none of these guys want to take as much damage, right? I think he's going to take this fight to the ground. And I think when you talk about knockout power, I would give the slight edge to Gaethje. When it comes to power, right, as far as who I think is going to get caught, I think Chandler can get caught. But the dominant quality that I see here is Chandler being able to take down Gaethje. I like Chandler's work on the ground. And I do think that, again, it's not so big like the knockout power, right? It's not so huge of a gap for me because I do think that Chandler has the ability to put down Gaethje. You saw it with the Oliveira fight. Chandler has some power. We saw it with Hooker. He's got power and he's accurate as well. I like Chandler to get it done. I think he's going to finish him on the ground, though.
You think he's going to submit him?
I think it's very possible he submits him. I think he's going to just pound him down. I think he's going to overwhelm him. So that's what I think, just because I think Justin Gaethje's not a guy that really fancies himself as a jiu-jitsu grappler. Again, he's good. He's a good grappler, but I like Chandler's more dominant quality to prevail in this situation. My take right here. But
no, that's not a bad take at all.
It's interesting. But this next one, oh my God, it's hard for me. Billy Quarantilo versus Shane Burgos. Going to be an interesting fight here. Billy's a guy that I followed since he was on the Ultimate Fighter, Team McGregor versus Team Faber. Great season. That's kind of what the UFC should go with as far as the Ultimate Fighter is concerned. Great season. Billy's won 10 out of 11. So he didn't make it. He didn't make it into the UFC as soon as the show ended. But he's been on a roll. He won, I believe, like 6 in a row. Then got himself a contract by winning in the Contender Series. And he's won 10 out of the last 11. So interesting. Burgos has been on the wrong side of things. He's lost 2 in a row. Again, big win. What better way to get yourself back in contention here, than a win at Madison Square Garden? Again, he's ranked number 14. I'll just say it like this. I think Billy wins. And maybe I'm a little biased because I like Billy, but I think that he's got all the tools to be able to beat a ranked opponent and be able to go out there. Because Billy's got a motor that runs wild. He doesn't stop. He's always chasing the finish. Burgos is a finisher as well. But again, you kind of question, the pressure. How's it going to get to you? Lost 2 in a row. Again, it's, fighters tell me a loss is depressing. It is, and I don't blame them. So I think Billy's in a better spot. I mean, I don't know. Do you agree, disagree?
No, I definitely agree. And with Shane Burgos, I wrote down heavy hands, which he does. If you've watched the last 2 fights against Emmett and Edson Barboza, you see he has that power, and he's a boxer. He's probably the better striker, I think, between the two.
Yeah,
Billy, I believe, though, I think he can win. Just by watching his fights, I just like his energy a little bit more. I think all he would really need to do is just go for the takedowns more. I think he could probably finish this one on the ground.
Very fair.
And that's just between those. I just feel like they have very different styles. But I do see Billy, actually. I had Billy winning this one.
Yeah, sure. And look, it's again, it's this fight. So this fight can go either way. I feel more confident making this Chandler versus Justin Gaethje prediction than I feel the Billy and Burgos, though. Again, it's a very tricky one. I like Billy. I think Billy's got a good tank. My only concern is don't get wild, don't waste your cardio, and don't let yourself get caught by Burgos, because Burgos can put you out. Lights out. So it's gonna be a very intriguing fight. Billy's from that New York area. So I hope he gets it done. I hope he gets it done. Cheeto Vera versus Edgar is another good one there. Interesting one. I think
what do you say? Edgar's old.
Yeah, I just don't think I don't know if Frankie has it anymore.
I know, he's 40 years old.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's had a hell of a career.
We just saw Glover win last week, right?
Yeah.
Last week, yeah. And he's 42. But I think for me, Edgar's last fight was against Sanhagen. Yeah. And it was a tough loss.
It hurt my feelings watching that.
I know.
It hurt my feelings.
The flying knee, that'll freaking knock anybody out. But the thing is about Edgar, he's that veteran that we've all watched growing up watching MMA.
I was in middle school, man. I was in middle school when I was watching.
You don't want to go against him. Marlon Vera, I really like him. Plus, he has an impressive fight resume. Like the fighters that he's fought in the past 2 years are very impressive. I feel like for him, he's more of the slim favorite, but I just like his style a little bit more. I think actually they're kind of similar in a way.
Yeah.
But I just find that Marlon is just a little bit more fresh, and I don't know. There's not too much to it for me. I wouldn't necessarily say he's the better striker. I feel like sometimes when I watch his fights, he's a little wild. But I almost like that against Edgar, who is a little bit more technical, Yeah. So
my concern is, Edgar's lost 3 of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Cheeto has won 2 of 4, but that one of them was, the O'Malley thing, the injury or whatnot here. I think Cheeto learned a lot from that Jose Aldo win. That's why I'm going to take him to win.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to take Frankie because he's an underdog. And again, we talk about betting here. You're going to make some more money betting on some underdogs. It's a fight that Frankie Edgar could win. And by the way, Billy Quarantilo, I think he's going to win. Underdog also. So there you go, folks. So we're going to go with some dogs here. I wish until, the Cheeto thing. Cheeto's a favorite. Again, I think it's smart money betting on Cheeto. Again, I question Frankie. We just saw, like you just said, excellent point. We saw Glover. Anyone get on a run, right? Anyone get on a run. I just don't know, with Frankie. There's been still, rough ones. I don't know. It's hard.
That one's hard, yeah.
Yeah. Wei Lee versus Rose, though. It's another tricky one here. I think you're gonna disagree. I think we're gonna disagree here.
Okay, you go first.
I'll just come out here and say it. I think Wei Lee wins.
Do you?
I think Wei Lee wins. I think so. What can you learn from your opponent when you just get knocked out the way she did? Both ways, right? Yeah. Rose and her.
Mm-hmm.
In the history that I've seen, certain things in sports, right, especially like an MMA, normally the person that gets a decisive finish the first fight ends up losing the second. I think of DC. I think of DC against Stipe. I think of Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture. Those are things that just come to my mind right away. I think of freaking Matt Hughes and Matt Serra. I mean, not Matt Hughes, Matt Serra, but Matt Hughes and George St. Pierre. When you have dominant first fights against the opponent that you're going to have a rematch with, it's just very intriguing. Now, the only thing, Chelsea, that just annoys the shit out of me, and I'm cussing here, it just annoys the shit out of me, is when people make excuses
Okay.
about the loss. Whaley, did you really think you were going to get cheered in the US? I'm sorry, especially Rose. Rose is so beloved.
Uh-huh.
Did you really think? I mean, that should have caught you off guard, man. So there's been just been a lot of excuses from her, though. I think if there's somebody that can mentally steer her right is Henry Cejudo, which again,
Mhm.
she changed her camp. She's here in the US. There's no excuses for Whaley. And I do believe that there's a lot of pressure for her to come out and deliver. Again, complains about a lot of things, whether it was the way she felt traveling over here, whether it was the fans booing her, whether it was just her getting caught, her not feeling, again, not being accustomed to just the weather, whatever crap she said. She threw a bunch of them, man. Look, I'm not an excuse maker here, folks. I just don't even deal with that stuff. Again, there were so many things. That's my concern, the mentality, right? But I do think though that she went out there and again she got together with one of the guys that I believe can help her out the most in Cejudo. I think that Rose can definitely win this fight. I think Rose could win it by submission, but I'm just gonna go with Whaley. Whaley's the underdog here. It's pretty basically a pick 'em here. You didn't really learn much from the last fight though,
Mhm.
and I thought going into that first fight that Whaley was gonna be able to beat her. I'm gonna take it as she got caught, and I am going with Whaley there.
I really thought the first time around, I was going back and forth, and I thought, man, I love Thug Rose. I like the way she fights, but Wei Li, I just saw her. To me, she just has so much power, and she's just so much bigger, stronger, right? And so I thought, oh, that would definitely be a force against Rose. But when you watch that fight, you're right. Like you really didn't get to see a whole lot. I mean, Rose was constantly moving, jumping around like a little spring chicken, right? Throwing kicks here and there, throwing a jab, then keeping the distance. And then obviously Whaley gets caught and she's completely knocked out. And yeah, you're right. You can make as many excuses as you want. I feel like now, because she has changed her camp and she's been so hyper focused on this fight and beating Rose and constantly going back, like I almost think that she's like living and breathing, eat, live, and breathing how to beat Rose.
You're
And
100%
so
you're on it.
like absolutely, and I only say that just from the interviews that I've seen her do, and whatever, that she has really changed her style completely. And she's like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I like that relationship that she has with Henry Cejudo. Like it seems like she really looks up to him in a different way. So I would like to go for Wei Li in this. I still am a Rose fan. I just want to see something different. I
Are
really
you
thought
agreeing with me?
I am. And I really wanted Wei Li to win the first time. I just thought she would give her more of a challenge. I really thought she was going to give her more of a challenge. And obviously it didn't go that way.
I love Rose though. I
I
love
do
Rose.
too. And she's so smart. She has such a freaking high fight IQ, and she's so mentally tough. And obviously you need that in the sport, right? You need that for any sport. But Wei Li, I don't know. I just see something different. And so I'm
I do
hoping
too.
that inner tiger or whatever it is comes out and she's able to capitalize on whatever changes she's made and really come out and just do something different. I just want to see a different approach. I think if she approaches at least that first round differently, as soon as they start the bell, then that could take things off a little bit easier for her.
Do you think, in your opinion, that win like that Rose got, right? Great story,
Mm-hmm.
right? But do you think it
Mm-hmm.
was a memorable moment to you? Was it a memorable moment? And I'm going somewhere with this. Was it a memorable something that it's one of those MMA moments where if someone tells you Rose and Whaley right away, oh, knocked her the hell out.
I
That's my
mean,
story.
I remember, but there's other fights that I
Okay.
remember more than that one.
Okay. What I'm going with this is again the fights that I can think of where it's been a true either just trilogy or rematch here. They've ended that way, right? Because there's so many fights, right? Well, there's so many rematches in the UFC, but I'm talking about the highest level,
Mm-hmm.
when you're competing for a championship. I think, and I think I'm going to give her more of an advantage, right? And it sounds silly, right? But these small things make a difference, folks. The mentality, courage are, some of the most dangerous things somebody can have.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going up against somebody that has more courage than you, I mean, that's half the battle there. Henry Cejudo, I'm going with Henry Cejudo here, who knows what it's like to get dominated, the very first fight of a fight, not a trilogy, but of a title fight against Demetrius Johnson, and went back and beat him. Close fight, but he beat him. So I think Henry's going to right the ship here. I think people aren't paying so much attention or not enough attention to the kind of training she's getting. Now, again, Henry's not going to go in there and fight for her, even though he's trying to pick a fight with everyone here. But I think, again, it's the right camp and the right situation that she needs to be in. No excuses for Whaley. No excuses. I'm going to ride with her. It's another dog here, folks. Ooh,
It really is.
we were to clear this.
Everybody has Rose. I don't even know what the betting is for this fight. Do you know?
This one's a pick'em. This one's essentially a pick'em. You're not gonna really make much money off betting on either one. Yeah, it's a pick'em. But the main event, Kamar Uzman versus Colby Covington. It's a rematch from December of 2019. I believe it was UFC 245. I've watched this fight about 8 times. Before we did this has been like the 8th time now.
Oh my goodness.
I'm telling you, man, I'm pumped.
I've not watched it that many times, but I've rewatched it plenty.
I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped for this fight. I've literally taken every single round by round, and I've replayed it the round, and I've gone over this, and I have different notes, and I would always get a different sheet of paper just because, again, this is a very enticing rematch for me here, and as it is for everyone. So fight besides, because you know how crazy I was over TJ and Corey going to battle, this is the second fight that I was looking forward to the most, and it's finally here. I literally scripted notes on this thing when it came to every single time that I watched, just to see if the notes would change.
Okay.
Just to see if the notes would change. Man, I'm going to tell you something here. It's very interesting, and I didn't do any research on the internet, nothing, until I believe maybe 20 minutes before I came on here with you, because I wanted to compare my notes to every single thing. So there's one specific part in that fight where I don't think people paid enough attention to, but again, it's people are going to think I'm so crazy with this fight here, folks. You know what? I want to get your thoughts first, and then I'll give you mine. I want to get your thoughts. I want to get your thoughts.
You
I want to get your thoughts. I know. I just, I feel like I'm just talking so much. I want to get your pick here.
Okay,
I want to get your pick here because I'm going to give the audience what I think at the end.
Okay.
That way they're not waiting for your take.
Okay. Here's my thoughts on the first fight. Colby Covington, I felt like gave Uzman probably one of the best matchups that he's had because he landed huge shots. Shh. He landed
Chelsea's dog, folks.
Yeah. He landed big shots. He did get caught, and he was even fighting. I think it was, I don't remember which round it ended in, but
what round it ended? It ended in the 5th.
Okay, so then it was so in the 4th round is when they were talking about that he had a broken jaw, and he was literally right 3rd round. Okay,
at the end of the 3rd.
Okay, end of the 3rd round. And so so he's fighting with a broken jaw, right? To me, when you're kind of going back and you're talking about Whaley and Henry Cejudo, and it's the energy and it's just the mental toughness, and that's really what pushes you through. I feel like Colby has that more than Uzman. And I also, if we're going to go back to the Rose and Whaley fight, I think in this time around, Whaley has that more. So this fight coming up, I don't know. I don't really know who I have here. I did pick Uzman winning originally. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to change that, but just watching the fight, if you watched it, you're going to think, damn, this is a close ass fight. Like, it's not like it was Uzman winning and he was dominating the octagon the entire time. It's not like he was controlling the fight even, because he really wasn't. I really thought that, I don't know if it was necessarily 50-50, but I do feel like Colby at least gave him a run for his money. Okay.
So you'd have Uzman.
Yeah, because I said that last time I was with you, that I had Uzman winning. So I'm going to stick with that.
You're entitled to change.
Am I allowed to?
Yeah, you're allowed to change.
Because I feel like originally, before I went through and started watching a lot of like the past fights of, this entire card, a lot of my picks did change. I would like to see Colby
You can
win.
change. You can change your opinion.
Oh, thank you. I really would like to see Colby win. And one thing about Uzman, and I noticed it in the last couple fights that he fought, I don't know. I know he's a good fighter, but he just doesn't do anything exciting for me. He doesn't. If it wasn't Colby, if this wasn't a rematch, I don't know if I'd be as excited to watch him fight whoever it would be that he's watching.
You didn't see that finish, that Gilbert Burns finish, that Jorge Masvidal knockout?
Yeah, but I just feel like, I don't know. I want to see something go the distance. I want to see a good fight as opposed to just a quick knockout, you know?
Fair.
But yeah, I don't know. I really like the way that Colby fought in their first time fighting, and I guess I'll leave it at that.
Well, look, I talk a lot, so I wanted to give you, before people are like, if people are just listening to hear your awesome takes, that way I don't have to wait for this guy. They're skipping around for this guy talking right here, folks. But okay, going into this fight. So the intriguing part is I was all over the place as I watched this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Some fights I had, there was a fight or two where I had Kamar winning 3 out of 4. There was some that it was dead even. Some where it was Colby 3 out of 4. It's very interesting. And I'm taking notes, right? And I go back finally, and I finally, right before I can come here, I see, okay, well, how nuts am I here? So I went over there and I looked at the scorecards, because I ended in the 5th round. So they only scored the first 4 rounds. So one judge had it 39-37 for Kamaru. The second judge had it 39-37 Colby. And the third judge had it dead even. So this was as close as a fight gets going into the 5th round. I think that if the ref didn't stop the fight, Kamara would have probably won the decision just because of some of the big spots, like the knockdown at the end. So I thought Kamara probably would have gotten the decision. It was a close fight. So my biggest thing is that people aren't focused enough on, and I'm telling you, I watched this frame by frame as everything was going. Let's clear the air here. This is not going to be just an easy fight for Kamara. Everyone's saying, hey, look what he did to Masvidal the second time. Folks, Colby Covington would beat Jorge Masvidal 9 out of 10 times. Okay. Don't think Jorge Masvidal should have even been in title contention. Me being straight up with you. He got a couple impressive finishes. I didn't find that Nate Diaz win impressive. I don't think Jorge Masvidal should have gotten there. Straight up here. So let's get that out of the way. Colby's excuses, though, again, let's get that out of the way. I really hope he's not thinking that, because he's saying that he gave him a crotch shot. Questionable. Let's move on. Then there's an eye poke. He clearly poked Kamara Uzman in the eye. Saw it, literally. He poked him. So, and Kamara, it's not like Kamara took a whole 5 minutes to recover. They got there pretty fast. The most concerning part is, and you never want to see a guy change camps here, but the most concerning part with me is that Colby, for as much as people tout his cardio, there was a specific spot ending the 2nd round where I thought Kamara was outworking him. And then going into the early part of the 3rd round where Kamara broke his jaw, where Colby was extremely tired. And I don't think people highlight that as much. People say, oh, Colby is this massive cardio freak. But there's that specific spot where he just looked exhausted, breathing heavy, having his hands down, where that gave Kamara the opening to break his jaw. Now, Colby is a tough SOB because he was able to deal with that, weather the storm, have a solid 4th round. And then obviously what happened in the 5th round happened. But there's that specific moment where I'm like, that probably lost this man the fight. Okay. So again, the cardio, because everyone talks about Colby Covington being this cardio freak. Now, look, for ladies and gentlemen, I have never fought in my life like that. Okay. So I wouldn't know, what it takes to have good cardio there. But again, that's just something that Colby is touted as, where I just clearly saw that. And it was so obvious to me that when he dropped his hands, that jaw broke. And that's what has me concerned here. How did he attack the camp? How did he go out there and fix those mistakes? I definitely feel like you learn more from a loss than a win going into a rematch. But man, I always wonder, what if Colby didn't break his jaw? What if Kamaru finished them? And I think I think it was just Colby's fault. He landed in the wrong spot, whether he was resting or whether he was done. I think that was a good stoppage. I don't know. Do you think it was a good stoppage?
Yeah, no, I do. It was, but
that spot.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the interesting part for me, though. What would have happened? I'm going to go out there and I think Colby's going to give him issues. It's stupid to say, right? But let's assume he doesn't get his jaw broken here. I think Colby ends up winning the fight.
Okay.
I think Colby ends up winning that fight. Now, again, how is he going to handle the loss? The interesting part, though, is that he's not going to take Kamaru down. I don't know, right? I assume, right? Because I think Kamaru's a very good grappler. And that's where Colby, again, that reputation goes where, hey, I'm going to grind you. I'm going to put this pace on you and you're going to quit, like what he did to Robbie Lawler or a Tyron Woodley. So he's changed the camp. I like Colby in this fight. I really like Colby in this fight just because let's just hope he doesn't break his jaw again. Someone told me that, hey, Uzman's jab will freaking break his jaw again. It's already happened before. It'll happen again. It's nice and soft for him to be able to go and do that again. That's just not how bones work, folks. That's just not how bones work. Not a doctor here, but spoiler alert. That's just not how bones work. Okay, at least I don't think here. I'm not a certified Google doctor or anything like that. So, Google doctor. I'm not a certified Google doctor here, folks. But anyways, I like Colby though because he did a lot of things that I thought not a lot of people were able to do against Kamar. Again, he's able to still push the pace. He was able to recover. Again, it was that one small gap where he got tired and he was able to rejuvenate and he was able to put it on Kamar and he was able to put it on with a broken jaw. I think it was more of him landing in the bad spot, regardless of it being a good stoppage, than anything. And I think Colby Covington's, I'm calling the upset here. Colby Covington's going to win.
Do you have an idea of when he'll win it or how? Or what would you like to see?
And I would love to see a 4th round finish.
Yeah.
Canelo's fighting.
You're right. We still got to watch the Canelo fight.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of research on that one. I'm very pumped for that. But I hope it ends. I hope it ends in time to watch Canelo fight. You know what's interesting though? I didn't know this, but apparently, like if the UFC goes through all like 5-second knockouts in all the fights, the main event's gonna go on. Apparently, if like in boxing, if it happens like that for some crazy reason, Canelo's team says that they're not gonna go on before 11.
Really?
Yeah, that's crazy. So I think I think the UFC will be done before Canelo walks.
I hope so.
Which I'm very excited for.
Yeah, I know. I hope they timed that perfectly like they did with the Wilder fight. Because I was literally well, no, I was watching the A&M game. That's why I'm sorry. There wasn't a UFC fight.
The UFC was early that day.
My bad. I got confused.
So my biggest thing is Colby truthfully gonna hang his morals on saying, hey, that illegal blows didn't happen. Yeah, they did. How are you mentally strong? Because people want to say, oh, well, Kamaru's been more active. No, he really hasn't. 2 more times than Colby, I guess. I think Colby gives Kamar Uzman a lot of issues, a lot more issues than what any other fighter can do. And I think, again, Colby's built to do that. Again, it was just that brief moments in those fights where he was just tired. I hope he attacks the cardio, is mentally strong, gets all those excuses out of his head. If that happens, you're going to see a new world champ, and it's going to be a huge upset for everyone, which I don't think it should be. I don't know. People are crazy, Chelsea.
People are crazy. I honestly haven't even been paying attention to what the experts have been saying about this card in general. I have no idea what.
Me neither, but people are saying that Colby's going to lose.
Okay.
Majority. Go figure. You know, it's always the hot thing is to agree with everyone else. Somebody says something and everyone else piggybacks off that and says the same thing. I don't know. We try to give people a different take here, though.
Or at least our own take, you know, because we do watch the fights. That's the problem, is that sometimes a lot of people don't watch the entire fight, or they just see highlights, and, you know, that can only get you so far. I think for Colby, I would like to see him. I would like to see some ground game here. Yeah. In this fight. I just would like to see
crazy though. Kamar's crazy.
I know he is. And I feel like getting him down, I'm curious to know how much of Uzman's takedown defense, you know, he has, but I would just like to see them grapple on the ground. I'm not saying that it'll finish that way or he'll submit him. I just want to see kind of where they match up. You know what I mean? And that's what I like to see as a fan. Like when I'm going to watch a fight like this, or like Chandler and Gaethje, or, you know, whatever, I know their strengths. And so I want to be able to see, okay, how do they match up when they're rolling on the ground? Or, you know, obviously we know what they're like when they're standing there boxing the entire time. But I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll be a different X factor for sure. I'm wondering what's going to happen. Again, tough to predict these things. I am very pumped for this fight here. It's all happening this Saturday night, folks, in Madison Square Garden. Be normal time, normal fight card. 9 o'clock prelims start between, I believe, at 7 o'clock. There's gonna be 5 prelims on there, so make sure everyone catches that. Chelsea, anything you want to let the audience know before we sign out?
think so.
Never like usual. There you go.
I don't know. Just make sure you watch the prelims. And I mean, literally Saturday is a night of fights. Like you have the prelim for the UFC card, you have the main card, and then you have Caleb Plant and Canelo. I mean, doesn't get much better than that for a Saturday night.
Life does not suck when you have all those fights there, folks. Once again, thank you all for listening. Chelsea, thank you for joining me again.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime. And to everyone out there listening, if you're going to be watching the fights, going out there, partying, drinking, whatever, please be safe, folks. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. You know, your basic marketing stuff here, which is true though. Don't drink and drive, folks. Be safe, everyone. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.